Hello, everyone, and welcome to one of these interview episodes of the SWW show. I'm Mike, and today with me a special guest from decently around the world to talk about a very interesting game in today's society. To get us started, do you mind introducing yourself and the game we're here to talk about?
Yeah, hi Mike. Thanks for having me. My name is Maarten. I'm the design half of Upgrade Studio. We have a two-man studio going on together with Bob, who is the developer. So today we are going to talk about Orbits.
All right. So, for people who've never heard of it, what is that?
Orbits is a gritty, atmospheric sci-fi incremental game where you mine asteroids with oversized mining gear and your trusty click axe, which is obviously a pun to the mouse cursor. You play as a new mining operator, and it's your job to extract valuable ores and deliver them to Earth for profit and research budget. Because it's an incremental game, so you do a lot of research and a lot of upgrading to mine faster. And along the way, you might encounter some strange anomalies.
So, where did kind of the inspiration for this come from? Obviously, we've seen incremental games on Steam kind of have their moments on and off kind of last couple years kind of, but like was there something in that genre that drew you to it? Was it like the space part kind of what kind of made this kind of become the game it is?
Mm-hmm. Well, we first wanted to make a different game, and then we started, but it was way too big, so we wanted to make something that was more manageable. Then we started that. That's when you actually got in contact with me. It was about Binary Barrier, but that game also became a bit too big for a game we wanted to complete quite in a short amount of time. So then we started Orbits, which is the current game we are developing. And I think we kind of wanted a game that we could do in a short amount of time, actually. And Bob, who is a developer, he really loves incremental games. We both like upgrade games, so with a lot of deep upgrade systems in it. So that's why we wanted to make an incremental game.
So that makes sense. I also because one of the things I like about incremental games also from a like designing and building point of view obviously is like they give a lot of room to kind of play in, right? Just because like, oh, I could kind of make this now the system working on, or this kind of the part kind of working on. So especially
Yeah.
coming from like games where you were having problem of like creep and scope concerns, like how do you guys kind of keep yourselves in track on a genre that, like, let's be honest, like you could start to get very big and very giant very quickly, even compared to like some other genres.
With an incremental game, you mean?
Yes.
Yeah. Um, well, in this case, we in the previous game we had a ginormous upgrade tree. So in this one, we kept it a bit more tiny but meaningful. So that's something we did. And we are starting out, with the systems we really need, and building to building on that when we get more traction with our game. So yeah, we're keeping it quite small in the beginning, and hopefully we can expand later on, because we have a lot of ideas to add to the game. Indeed, yeah.
No, that makes sense. So let's kind of talk into this kind of, I guess, mechanically a bit, right? So obviously it's an idle game, so people have like images in their head, kind of what incremental games mean, and kind of like
Mhm.
what they can do, especially hearing about like this being a mining operation. What kind of, so imagine I'm a player, I'm sitting down through an experience, kind of, can we talk through kind of maybe like the flow of like what is like a run and kind of what players kind of do and decisions they make throughout?
Yeah. So we have procedural generated asteroids, and these asteroids have entry points on them. So you have the asteroid for in front of you, and you choose an entry point. And all these entry points have different types of ores in them and conditions, both positive and negative conditions. So you have to pick which one you want to do, and then you start mining. And in our game, we call it the click axe. So it's a clicker game as well. So you have to click on rock to destroy the rock. Um, And we have a system that is both idle or active, so you can actively click, and but you can also let it go to idle, and then it will click automatically. So me and the players don't get repetitive strain injury. And beside clicking, you also have like tools that fall. They are physics driven, so they fall in the mining shaft and they destroy rock automatically. But you have no control over that, only where you click. So you try to click valuable ores in the mining shafts, and you can kind of strategically choose where to mine. So you guide the falling tools. So that's the core gameplay loop. And then you try to get as much valuable resource as you can, and you deliver them to Earth for a profit and research budget. And then it's from there it's a lot of upgrading and repeating. Yeah.
No, that makes sense. So like obviously there's a lot of different spots players can think of like upgrading to kind of upgrade their ability to mine and kind of get resources and kind of go through those processes. How kind of were you kind of thinking about while designing the system and the game make it feel fun and kind of like feel like with the way people expect kind of what were you kind of thinking about in on these locations, right? Where's it like certain resources that you were drawn to? Was there certain things like how did you almost like flesh out this universe?
Um, so we have like 3 common resources, and we have 3 rare resources, and then we have something that's a bit special and alien maybe. Um, So we are working on the demo currently, so we don't have all features fleshed out yet, but we have most of them, and so you use these common resources you use to buy a work for hire cards. So before each mining run, you get work for hire options. For example, my favorite is the mining laser. So you can pick the mining laser and it will destroy a lot of rock for you. And then you have like swapping cards, and you have like, for example, invested interest. When you get the target depth, you get more, your gold gets a certain buff, for example. And then later on, you have these rare ores, which are way more valuable to trade to Earth. So you get a lot more resource for that. And then later on, we will want to have you maybe upgrade your tools with the alien chip thingy, we call it. So yeah.
I'm not jealous though because I've definitely been on the other end of having to name stuff and you're just like what is this like I know this thing exists, I know it's the thing we care about, what do I need to do? So I always appreciate when a developer's just like it's the alien tech or it's this thing
Yeah.
like I've been on the other end of that too much of just been like yep this I don't know what this thing's called but we need it.
Exactly.
No, that's amazing. So kind of in that context, one of the things what I'm actually curious about. So obviously, one of the ways you guys are marketing and kind of talking about what will be in the game, right? Is obviously you have on your Steam page this like wish list feature, which I think is really cool. Kind of like, hey,
Yeah.
I get some wish list, we unlock certain elements, kind of.
Yeah.
What I'm curious, kind of a little background on that one, kind of what kind of made that kind of the inspiration idea? Because it's actually something I think is very creative that I have not seen a ton of being like, here's where at wish list wise, you want more, give us more wish lists as like a good, decent way to kind of drive up those numbers.
Yeah, as game developers, we all know the game, right? You have to wish list in order to finally make a profit from the game, which is a really tough game. So yeah, we wanted to try this. You know, we have all sorts of ideas, but in order to implement them, we need some traction on our game, because otherwise, who are we kidding, right? So yeah, we have. We would love to have a galactic map and elemental hazards, and like especially the mining gear workshop. We really would like to have that. Yeah,
That stood
but
out to
we
me, I
want
think,
to
the
try.
most. Of looking at
Yeah,
like, because there's
it's
definitely some interesting ideas here of like how to expand stuff.
yeah, so we would love to implement all of them, and we have even more ideas. But yeah, we haven't seen it either, but only with like Kickstarters of stuff like that. But we thought we tried out. Let's see how it goes.
That like it makes a lot of sense, honestly, of like a, oh, we need this. It's a good way to kind of both tell players the potential of what's here, but kind of get the metrics kind of that we need going. Um, I'm getting curious. So obviously, you guys have had kind of made it to a point now where you are now showing off the game, right? Over, I think it was over in DevCon. Um, I'm
Yeah.
I'm
Yep.
kind of curious, kind of what player feedback was kind of like versus almost like what you expected player feedback to be of the experience so far.
Actually, it was kind of similar. Um, because what we mostly where we get back is that it's very satisfying game in terms of like juicy feeling in the game, and it's quite meditative because you know it's an incremental game. It's quite repetitive, but it's also very satisfying. So people like to go through the game loop. That's something we really noticed. So that's good. uh, and there was some minor things that people we noticed that they really don't really understand, or we need. Yeah, the most important thing, I guess, is that we try to design too subtly. We need to be a bit more loud sometimes with our how we attract attention from the players.
That is it always is interesting to me kind of when you develop products, the amount of like blindness we naturally develop of like, well, obviously you go here, like because we've done
Yeah.
it 10,000 times, or we built the system to be like, oh, obviously it goes here. Was there any moment that like you saw or heard that like made you want to pull your hair out or be like really frustrated from a like this should be obvious, but like it almost taught you be like, oh no, the system is way less obvious than we thought it was.
No, I never think that because I've been a designer for like 15 years or something, and uh, I think like receiving feedback and watching players play is just very natural to me. I like to see players play, but I expect nothing from them. I just want them to do what they do, and I observe, and that's fine. I don't really care if they. Yeah, I want to see if they don't understand something, but I don't have that feelings. I don't have to pull my hair out.
The amount of self-control, I'm actually impressed. Like I feel like I've
Yeah,
never
thanks.
been at a demo where like a demo station where I'm watching, be like, I don't want to just go there and take the controller from your hand, or kind of like a part of it like, oh, just go there, just go. I want to see that. Like, so that's a very impressive like the amount of like, oh no, I'm just gonna let him see do the thing. Uh,
Well, sometimes I step in and teach a bit more about what we are trying to do here, and then they understand, and then they get further into the game or they understand better. So I do step in sometimes, but not too much.
I'm kind of curious then, obviously. So obviously, great feedback in the sense of like you saw a few things like, oh, this obviously wasn't as obvious. Was there from that physical feedback, do you guys have more plans to try to like physically hand off the game some more like that in like a physical environment? Do you plan to do more digital-y kind of demos? Kind of, do you have kind of even more internally like plans kind of now how you're going to show off and get feedback throughout development?
Um, well, next week we are also showcasing the game at the physical event. So I like to do that because then, yeah, especially with developers, and I get to see how people interact with it, and also the developers' perspective of how we approach it. And we wanted to launch our demo, but I think we need to do a playtest beforehand because well, this is actually our first Steam release, so we need to make sure that everything runs properly. And yeah, so I think we want to do a playtest before just throwing the demo on Steam, because we did a lot of testing internally, friends, family, of course, but also we did a soft launch on itch to see how if we get response there. So we also get feedback from that, and it was also a game jam, so we got feedback there. So we have received a lot of feedback along the way.
Well, that Makes sense. You know, that's yeah, no, it's balancing that feedback's always fun. How have you kind of, as you said, you've been a developer for quite a few years, kind of developing things. How do you kind of balance the like I maybe like there's the mentality I always like is that like players know problems, they don't know solutions, right? So they could be like, I could see this a problem, but like half the time their solution, like, okay, well that won't solve the problem, but I agree with you, that's a problem. How do you kind of view that type of player feedback? Do you kind of view kind of more kind of what I said kind of there of like players who are good so finding the problems versus solutions? Do you think do you kind of take more player solutions kind of at face value? Kind of what do you kind of say when someone walks up to you and said, this thing didn't work, I say you should do this? Kind of how do you handle almost that type of feedback?
Well, it's exactly like you say it. I think I always think that I'm the designer, so I take everything. I take everything, all the feedback, of course, but you have a certain idea for the game, and you know what you try to achieve with the game, and players don't always know that. So I love people giving ideas about the game, but it's indeed about what's the problem behind the problem. So yeah, I think it's in the being a designer for so long. I think you read through the lines and you understand pretty fast what they really mean. You know.
That is true, especially when you're like the best are like when you get the players who like don't say much, but you know like oh I know immediately what happened. Like you just almost like see it and you're like okay well at least I kind of like into my way to kind of fix these problems kind of again. I'm kind of curious. Obviously, you guys are in the middle of development kind of here. It says on Steam the goal is Q1 of 26. Is that still kind of what you guys are thinking? Do you think that date's a little more flexible? Kind of what almost are you thinking of getting this more actually out to the general public?
Uh, we set our goals, but up till now we tend to take a bit longer. Yeah, and I have to notice here that we only work on the game each Friday, so that's a very slow process. Because I and Bob as well, we both juggle different jobs beside game development. So yeah, we have quite a slow process. I think we develop really fast, but the process is really slow because we only have 1.5 day a week. So yeah, the Q1 is
A ton of time though.
20. No, there's not a ton of time. So maybe the deadline will get pushed. We just want to make the best game. So if it takes longer, it takes longer. Yeah.
No, that makes absolute kind of sense. So I'm curious. Obviously, you know the game, you know the systems. What if what have we not talked about that you feel that players either need to learn about kind of or need to know more about either systematically, store-wise, or any kind of part of the game that you feel needs to be shouted out?
Okay. Okay. Well, maybe that the game. I hope that the game looks pretty different than other incremental games. That's what I'm aiming at. Um, so it's most incremental games. I don't want to be rude or anything, but they are a bit casual and look often like a spreadsheet. So I really want to make the game look different than in other incremental games. So that's something I would like to note. And yeah, there are some systems that we haven't talked about, but hey, soon you will play the demo. So
No, that's fair. Is there any system that out there that we haven't talked about that you either want to tease or kind of broadly kind of tease out
oh, okay.
for the player?
Yeah, sure. We haven't talked about the prestige mechanic because we have that in our game. So when we're talking about incremental games and idle games, clicker games, we expect certain mechanics. So we don't have the offline progression thingy, but we do have the prestige mechanic. So when you deliver to Earth, you start over, right? So, but you can do a lot of research. You mine faster. So it's like the loop we know from incremental games, right? So that's something we have.
I assume yeah, some sense of like permanence. I'm actually curious, actually, so you said there isn't offline progression, which is like incremental games is a pretty common kind of thing to do. Was that a like technical thing, or is that more of a like we're making design decisions, and that's one of the pieces we're kind of pulling out of this kind of genre. Like where kind of was that thought of not having offline progression kind of come from in a genre that is very known for it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, well, there's a certain type of idle game that has like the offline progression, but there's also more like the management kind of incremental games, and I guess we're more like that. You know, we are more of an active like incremental game. So it's more of a hands-on incremental game, not let it run and we'll come back to you.
Like it makes sense. I was curious because like obviously as we both know, that is a very kind of common thing. I guess the other thing too is that I'm curious because obviously you guys don't have you have some level of different currencies and resource kind of balancing, but not like a ton per se compared to like some other games where I've seen like dozens and
Hmm.
dozens of those type of things. Uh,
Yeah.
did you kind of have some sort of balance you're going through of like we need to balance resources, but like there was a line, or kind of was this kind of like just the resources kind of more developed naturally over time as kind of a need progress or different things to find and develop with?
I think we only add what we need. Um, You know, we're not trying. We discussed earlier to have like tons and tons of different ores and materials, but yeah, it's a bit overwhelming. So we just want to add what we really need in the game, and that's all we need, I guess. Yeah.
That makes perfect sense. Again, the game we've been talking about here is Orbits. You are part of Upgraded Studio. You can currently go wishlist the game right now on Steam. It sounds like it might be floating around some European circuits too of demo wise. Yeah, we will make sure to go check out their website. We'll make sure to link to all that fun stuff below. Otherwise, is there any other spot we should be sending people, places to go check out work, any of that good stuff?
No, yeah, indeed, wishlist the game on Steam. That would help us out a lot, and you can join our Discord and you can visit our website, join the newsletter. Yeah, all that good stuff. So thanks a lot, Mike, for having me.
Perfect. Again, thank you for taking time to talk to me today, and best of luck as you guys are finishing up development and heading towards a successful launch.
Yeah, thanks.